أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ثم الصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه الأخيار أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. We are all welcome once again from this lengthy break. Inshallah, we continue with our lessons on تصريف العزي, where we learn the Arabic morphology. And in our last lesson before this lengthy break, we read the دخول ما ولا النافيتين على الفعل المضارع, and then we learned some دخول الجوازم والناصب على الفعل المضارع. And so inshallah today our lesson is starting on فعل الأمر. With the فعل الأمر, I think we've looked at the فعل الماضي, we've looked at the فعل الفعل المضارع, and in this lesson we are looking at the فعل الأمر, which will be the last partition of the last of the three partitions of the الفعل. It says وأما الأمر بالصيغة. فعل الأمر, we have أمر in types. You can make command in different ways. You can use the masdar to command, like وبالوالدين إحسانا. Any أحسن is a command. The masdar إحسانا is a command. And then you can use the فعل مضارع with the لام الأمر to as well make command. We have a lot of ways to actually make command. And so when he says here وأما الأمر بالصيغة, الأمر بالصيغة is where you use the فعل أمر, the verb itself, you change it into the imperative form. So not the other kinds of amr, but then the fi'l amr, which is the al-amru bis-sigha. Says al-amru bis-sigha, amma al-amru bis-sigha wa huwa amru al-hadir. So he clarifies wa huwa amru al-hadir, because as I explained that we have types of command, we have ways of commanding. You can use the imperative. You can do the imperative through the masdar, like وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا, as I said, and then like the command with the lam al-amr, لِيَكْتُبْ مَنْ لَمْ يَكُنْ مَوْجُودًا, something like that. You can command the ga'ib with the lam al-amr and the fi'l mudari. That style of amr, you can command the ga'ib. And so here he clarifies to us that وَأَمَّا الْأَمْرُ بِالصِّيغَةِ, when you use the fi'l amr itself, you conjugate it to the imperative form, you can only command the hadir, yani you can command the second person. You can only command the mukhatab, you can command the ga'ib using the amr bis-sigha. So he says وَهُوَ أَمْرُ الْحَاضِرِ فَهُوَ جَارٍ عَلَى لَفْظِ الْمُضَارِعِ الْمَجْزُومِ. How do you form it? By making the mudari majzoom, the majzoom form of the fi'l mudari. That is how you create the al-amr bis-sigha. And then we will know clearly how this is done. Says فَإِنْ كَانَ مَا بَعْدَ حَرْفِ الْمُضَارَعَةِ مُتَحَرِّكًا. The harf al-mudara, that harf that comes to create the mudara, if what comes after that harf is mutaharrik, bimana, we mean the first letter of the verb, the first letter that is coming of the verb, if it is a mutaharrik, yani it has a vowel, not sakin. So let's look at something like this, clarifying this point before we move on. I say something like ذهب. When I create the mudari is يذهب. Yai is the harf al-mudara. After yai, what do we have? The. The in this conjugation, in this mudari, is sakin, is not mutaharrik. So this is not what he's talking about. What about something like dahraja, or qahqara? What do I have? I will say yuqahkiru. Or qatala, I will say yuqatilu. So in the mudari of yuqatilu, the yahi is the harf al-mudara. After yahi, the letter that comes is mutaharrik. It has a vowel. So this is what we are looking at. So he says فَإِنْ كَانَ مَا بَعْدَ حَرْفِ الْمُضَارِعَةِ مُتَحَرِّكًا. If what comes after the harf al-mudara is vowelized, it has a vowel, not sakin. فتسقط منه حرف المضارعة. تسقط منه حرف المضارعة بمعنى first of all to form the الأمر بالصيغة drop the حرف المضارعة. جميل. وتأتي بصورة الباقي مجزوما and the remaining part bring it as it is but مجزوم. So I have a verb like قاتل. I want to form the الأمر بالصيغة. First step, what do I look at? What is the حرف المضارعة here? ياي. يقاتل. What comes after the حرف المضارعة? قاف. Does the قاف, is it متحرك or ساكن? It's متحرك. Okay, I drop the ياي المضارعة, the حرف المضارعة, I will drop it. And then the remaining قاتل, it is يقاتل. Now, يقاتل. I've dropped the ياي, it's left with قاتل. قاتل is ending with dhamma. I will bring it majzuman. So what do? I will say qatil. Qatil. By this, I've formed the al-amr bis-sigha. So qahqara, yuqahkiru. I drop the you, ya al-mudara'a. Then I'm left with qahkiru. I'll bring it majzum, bimana qahkir, which is kun at the end. Jamil. Says fatakulu fi amr al-hadiri min tudahriju. So you have dahraja, tudahriju. What do? You drop the ta, you are left with dahrij. So he says dahrij, dahrija, dahriju, based on the conjugation. So if there are two, you are talking to two people, you say dahrija, you say dahriju, antum dahriju, anti dahriji, antuma dahrija, antunna dahrijna. So informing the command of a verb whose mudara, after the harf al-mudara, there is a vowel on the letter that comes after the harf al-mudara. This is what you do. Drop the harf al-mudara, the remaining part, bring it out, it says majzuman. That's all. Says وهكذا تقول في فرح أي فرح, that is the fi'l amr. قاتل, تكسر, تباعد, تدحرج. What are the verbs for this? Let's see them clearly. The farrih is from farraha. Farraha, the mudari is yufarrihu. Yufarrihu. So yufarrihu, if I want to form the al-amr bis-sigha, I will drop the yail, which is the harf al-mudara. I'm left with farrihu. I will bring the farrihu majzuman, farrih. Likewise, qatala, as I explained. Takassar is coming from takassara. That is the verb. The mudari is yatakassaru. Yatakassaru. I want to form the al-amr bis-sigha. I will drop the harf al-mudara. I'm left with takassaru. Takassaru, what do? I bring the takassaru majzuman. Takassar. Jamil. Okay. Then you have likewise the remaining taba'ad is from taba'ada, yataba'adu. To form the amr, drop the yai, you are left with taba'adu, bring it majzuman, it becomes taba'ad. Likewise tadahraj. And then he says وَإِن كَانَ مَا بَعْدَ حَرْفِ الْمُضَارَعَةِ سَاكِنًا. What about if what comes after the harf al-mudara is skun? It taking skun. So this is a new scenario. So like the example we said, Zahaba yadhhabu, Qatala yaqtulu, Kataba yaktubu. In this case, what do? Intalaqa yantaliqu. What comes after the harf al-mudara is having skun. It says in this case, فَتَحْذِفُ مِنْهُ حَرْفَ الْمُضَارَعَةِ. You take off the harf al-mudara same way. وَتَأْتِي بِصُورَةِ الْبَاقِي مَجْزُومًا. And then you bring the remaining part majzuman. The second step. We are not done. مَزِيدًا فِي أَوَّلِهِ حَمْزَةُ وَصْلٍ. But you add hamzatu waslin in the beginning. Because what is happening here? You have a verb like intalaqa. The mudari is yantaliku. Yantaliku. Yai fatha nun skun. If you drop the harf al-mudari', what is left? Nun sukun is beginning the verb. You can't pronounce it. In such a case, nasta'inu bi hamzati waslin. We seek aid from the hamzat wasl so that we can pronounce. So we bring hamzat wasl in front of the verb such that we can make pronunciation of the verb. So when we bring the hamzat wasl, what vowel should we give the hamzat wasl in this case? So he said the hamzat waslin maksuratan. The hamzat wasl will take kasra. إلا أن تكون عين المضارع منه مدمومة, except when the ayn of the fi'l mudara, the aynul fi'l is having dhamma. In that case, the alif hamza to wasl that you are bringing will take dhamma. If not, you give it kasra. We will clarify all this. It says إلا أن تكون عين المضارع منه مدمومة فتضمها. In that case, you give it dhamma. So before we read the examples they brought here, let's exemplify this. I have verbs like ذهب يذهب. ذهب يذهب. In the mudari, what vowel is the ainul fi'l taking? The ainul fi'l is taking fatha. يذها يذها. So the ha, which is the ainul fi'l here, is taking fatha. يذهب. If it's taking fatha or it is taking kasra, the hamzat wasl that you bring in the beginning of the verb when forming the al-amr بالصيغة will take kasra. So what happens? يذهب, I drop the ya. I'm left it ذهب. Then I'll make it majzoom as it says. وَتَأْتِي بِسُورَةِ الْبَاقِي مَجْزُومًا. So I now have the skun, ha fatha, ba skun. Then I'll bring the hamza to waslin and give it kasra. Then I will now have idhhab. Idhhab. Jamil. Let's pick a verb that has kasra on the ainul fi'l. I have something like jalasa yajlisu. Jalasa. The lam is the ainul fi'l here. So in yajlisu, the ainul fi'l is having kasra. So what happens? I will drop the ya il mudara'a from the yajlisu. I now have jim skun, lam kasra, sin dhamma. The sin dhamma, I'll make it skun because I want to make it majzoom. Then I'll bring my hamza to waslin and I'll give it kasra. Ijlis. Ijlis. I form the amr. So in the case of a verb whose present tense, the ainul fi'l is having fatha or kasra, the hamza to wasl that I will bring, I will give it kasra. Now let's bring a scenario of where the ainul fi'l is having dhamma. A verb like qatala, yaqtulu, kataba, yaktubu. Let's take kataba. Qatala is too much of a severe word. So kataba, yaktubu, yaktubu. Ta is the ainul fi'l here and it is having dhamma in the mudara. So we take off the ya il mudara, the harf al mudara, we are left with kaf skun, ta dhamma, and then ba, we make it skun because we want to bring it majzoom. So we have kaf skun, ta dhamma, ba skun. Now, before I even complete this one, what you do is, even myself when I'm learning sarf, I definitely have to have a pencil with me. As I'm learning, when he says فَتَحْذِفُ مِنْهُ حَرْفَ الْمُضَارَعَةِ, then I will bring that scenario with the harf al-mudara' out. فَتَأْتِي بِبَاقِ السُّورَةِ مَجْزُومًا, then I'll write it majzuman. I'll write that as well. So you write every step of it. فَتَأْتِي بِحَمْزَةِ وَصْلٍ مَكْسُورَةً أو مَدْمُومًا. I bring that step also. So every step of it, you write it. Every step of it, you write it. That's how it goes. So as we are doing, you have ketaba. You write your ketaba. You change it to mudare. Yaktubu. Write yaktubu. Let's drop the harf al-mudara'a. So write kaf skun, ta dhamma, ba dhamma. Back is surah majzuman. Write kaf skun, ta dhamma, ba skun. Tati bi hamzati waslin. You bring your hamza to wasl. In this case, what vowel do we give the hamza to wasl? It is yaktubu. The ainul fi'l is having dhamma, and so the hamza to wasl will have dhamma. So it will be uktub, uktub, to give us our al-amr bis-sigha. So we read the examples. It says fatakulu unsur, unsur, from nasara, yansuru, yansuru. The sad is the ainul fail here, it is having dhamma. We drop the harf al-mudara'a, we bring hamza to waslin and give it dhamma and make the last vowel skun. Unsur, unsura. So you make it majzoom. Dual, how do we make dual majzoom? By taking down the noon. So when there are two, antuma, you do say unsurani, because the mudari is yansurani. How do you make it majzoom? By taking off the noon, bihazfin noon. If your nahu, you still remember your nahu, you realize that this is how it's done. That is why we learn some nahu to some stage before we start surf. So you have unsura, then unsuru, unsuri, unsura, unsurna, like that. وكذلك اضرب, اضرب, اعلم, انقطع, اجتمع, استخرج. So all of them, they followed the same steps to be created. And then we have, he says وفتحوا همزة أكرم. The verb like akrim, one will say akrim is a four-lettered verb. Now go with me on this stage. Let me see, my pencil is close. So let's say you are with me on this one. Four-lettered verb, what do we say? If you have a verb like daharaja, write with me. We've already gone through this process. When creating the mudari of fa'alala, what do you do? Fa'alala. The mudari, the wazn of the mudari is yufa'lilu. The wazn of the mudari is yufa'lilu. Dahraja, we say yudahriju. Yudahriju. That is how we say. Because fa'alala, yufa'lilu. Then when we said the ruba'i, the wazn is fa'alala. The mudari is yufa'lilu. So when you have a ruba'i, what happens? That's how it goes. Now we have a verb like akrama. Akrama, ala wazni fa'alala. Originally, the meter of the mudari should have been yu'akrimu, yufa'lilu, yu'akrimu. That is how the mudari should have been. So write it akrama, yu'akrimu. Write akrama, yu'akrimu. The book brings it, but I want you, before we read, for you to write it. Write akrama. And then follow the same, the wazn of the mudari. So akrama, you have yu'akrimu. Now you are forming the mudari, you are forming the al-amr bis-sigha from akrama, yu'akrimu. What do you consider? What comes after the harf al-mudari'ah? The hamza maftuha. The hamza is mutaharrika. So what happened? Hazf harf al-mudari'ah, you take away the harf al-mudari'ah, which is yu'akrimu. So you take away the you. You are left with akrimu. Tati bibaki surah majzuman. So you have akrim. So now you get akrim. So that is how we came by this. But then read with me. It says, Fatahu hamzata akrim bina'an ala al-asl al-marfud. A very important thing to underline, the kalima al-asl al-marfud. What is the al-asl al-marfud huna? The asl of akrama is fa'alala, as we've shown. That is how it should go, the meter. So the mudari is what? Yu'akrimu. But who says yu'akrimu in Lugha Arabiya? Marfud. Yani matruk. Marfud bimana matruk. Yani rafadnaha. Al-azal asl rafadnahu. So that is what he means by al-asl al-marfud. Yani al-asl al-matruk. The asl, which should have been yu'akrimu, nobody says that. We say akrama yukrimu. Ana ukrimu. Nobody says yu'akrimu. We say yukrimu. So when forming the al-amr bis-sigha, we go back to consider the al-asl al-marfud, the root that has been left. Jamil? Okay. I hope this point is well understood, because these are the pointers that we should understand. فَإِنَّ أَصْلَ تُكْرِمُ, the root of tukrimu, yukrimu, ukrimu, is supposed to be to akrimu. It's supposed to be yukrimu, is supposed to be yu'akrimu. But then has al-asl marfud. Nobody says that in Arabiya. Jamil. So that brings us to the end of the fi'l amr. forming the fi'l amr. So we leave the remaining part of the اجتماع التاءين في أول المضارع. It comes with ما متى تقلب تاء. We will read all that together as one lesson. Okay. So if there is anything that you do not understand, please do well to clarify, to ask for clarification, and inshallah we will make our time to do that. And when reading sarf, don't hasten. Take your pencil, follow every step, try to read over again, try to memorize some qawaid. Okay, inshallah. May Allah grant us beneficial knowledge. Till meet again, have a very good Arabic time. And don't forget to subscribe if you've not done so. Don't forget to share for others to also benefit from this project. Till we meet again, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.